whip this out. Just kidding. All right, what it is. I'm Tyrus, and I'm in for Greg on this special edition of Gutfeld. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She's the reason LensCrafters is still in business. Host of the Kennedy Saves the World podcast, Kennedy. His shows are a great place when you need some alone time. Comedian Joe Mackey. He loves wrestling so much he bought stock in metal folding chairs. Actor and pro wrestler and my friend Aaron Haddad. She thinks Congress should have a height limit to make government smaller. New York Times best-selling author, mother, and Fox News contributor, the one and only Kat Timm. I forgot to say something mean.
Yeah.
All right, before we get into some stories, let's do some jokes. As her feud with Donald continues, Rosie O'Donnell is applying for Irish citizenship. Yay. Next joke. We don't need it. All right. If granted, the Irish government fears this could lead to another potato famine. You see her just holding the potatoes like, no. Right. It's day 6 of the government shutdown, which means they're no longer paying the nice young man who cuts Joe Biden's food. Did you write that, Mackie?
No.
A bonker new study claims alien DNA has been found inside humans. I didn't believe it myself until I saw this photo. I feel like they would have picked a better host, right? Anyway. To punish his country's enemies, North Korea's Kim Jong-un is calling for a naval power buildup. On the bright side, it's nice to see him calling for something besides extra barbecue sauce. And I can say that because Aaron's half Korean. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo appeared on The View today. As part of his campaign platform, he's promising to find new and innovative ways to kill old people.
I think it's DeVito.
Yesterday, President Trump promised to pay a pay raise for our U.S. service members. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yes. Unfortunately, that doesn't include employees at Old Navy. Hey, it's a job, Don. It's a job. And finally, Kamala Harris continues to falsely claim that the last election was the closest of the 21st century. In her defense, it does make sense that she thought that because most drunks see things in double. All right. We could be serious for a moment. Let's do some stories. Chicago police allegedly ordered officers to ignore Border Patrol agents calling for help after they were surrounded by angry protesters. Listen to this.
And again, per the chief of patrol, we have all the units that per 999, chief of patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location. All right, and 999 just to confirm, 39th Police in Kedzie, they were saying that they were being surrounded by that large crowd, and they were requesting the police were not sending. I'm waving off all the cars heading to 39th Police in Kedzie.
Again, those are the orders we're being given.
Yeah, that's difficult to hear. That to me, that's jarringly terrible. Kennedy, Chicago PD now claims officers were there and that they were told not to stand down. What do you think opposed to what we just heard?
I think that they're being told to stand down. And it's not necessarily leadership in these cities because, you know, the people who rise through the ranks and end up leading these police departments, they do it because they want to be cops. That means they want to protect each other. They want to protect their communities. They want to go after bad guys. And unfortunately, if they want to keep their jobs and their pensions, they're doing in Chicago what they're also doing in Portland. And it's a lot of lip service, but unfortunately, things are going to get very dangerous. And I think there is a way of having a conversation if you have a philosophical disagreement about ICE, than putting ICE agents in jeopardy until one or several of them get killed. You know, it's like, we know the climate we're in. This is not theoretical violence. You know, these are unwell people who, they listen to statements by people like Brandon Johnson, and they feel it's incumbent upon them, if they want to be famous, to go out and kill some ICE agents. And Brandon Johnson and his administration are telling leadership in Chicago PD, nope, you can't go out there, you can't offer any support, because they're unfortunately forcing the issue, so this becomes deadly. And that is not the way to have an impact on policy.
Well, for one, you're actually increasing more violence, because an agent at some point is going to have to defend himself. He's going to have to use lethal force. And I can't see any police officer not wanting to go. So I really feel like when they're being told, probably their job's on the line if they did go, if they were being told to stand down, I refuse to believe that the police just willingly, the Chicago police, like, no, we're not helping.
No, there's no way.
You see another brother in a badge in trouble, they're going to do everything they can to help, unless something like this happens. Kat, I'm going to go to you, because you always got a good take on these kind of things. In the same day, people rammed DHS vehicles with cars. One was armed and to my point, ended up being shot by an agent. What do you think the main thing is causing all this violence?
Yeah, here's the thing. Kennedy, I agree with you totally. It's one thing to have a philosophical disagreement with ICE. People can have those, but you're not going to win more people over to your side by committing literal violence. I don't think that that's a thing that happens. No one's like, you know what? I really thought that I was for this, but before I do, I want to hear what all these people ramming vehicles and charging at officers with weapons have to say. It is obviously very dangerous. And like you said, this isn't theoretical. We've seen political violence happen. We know what the climate is like, and it is dangerous. And not only is it dangerous and wrong, but it's also not even helpful for what these people, their aims. It only ever makes the opposite point of view stronger, because it makes people more sympathetic to ICE agents if they're coming out there and having their lives in danger.
And the fact that they didn't open fire, because they could have, you know, and
something bad's going to happen. Something
Exactly.
bad's going to happen.
Aaron, sources inside Chicago's police department say that the allegations were true. How can they argue that it's not? I mean, what do you think? Do you think is there an angle where they can say it's not true?
No.
It clearly happened.
No, I mean, like, if you look at what we're seeing now, where, you know, we've been lied to by a lot of the people on the extreme left for so long, where it's now becoming this excess of stupidity, because we can see the call or hear the call. We heard that, we're not sending anyone there. And when I heard this story, my first thought was like, okay, so the police chief is probably on the same payroll as the protesters.
Right.
But it actually starts at the top. I mean, our elected officials, they have to serve the public, or at least they're expected to serve the public. And the most disturbing thing in this is that this person in the vehicle was insane, because she was trying to kill people with her vehicle, right? ICE agent, not ICE agent, again, these are human beings with families. And who's to say that after she was done with ICE, she wasn't going down the street? And for the mayor and the police chief to let this happen, that is completely ignorant, and I think they should both be relieved of their positions immediately.
You know, every time violence happens with a gun, the extreme left comes out with, we got to get rid of guns. We got to get rid of guns. Why weren't they coming out talking about we going to get rid of cars? We need to get rid of cars. Cars are a weapon. You know, the idiosyncrasies of the hypocrisy, not to mention what kind of a coward is in that leadership position to where you're going to put some political points over protecting people who are risking their lives. I mean, the basic thing is they are there looking for criminals. And it's just shocking to me that these elected officials, who have no skin in the game, really, they're not running out there. They're not dealing with anybody. They're just sitting in their office saying, stand down, because it looks good politically to whom? I guess that's the question, is because I don't see anybody really cheering unless it's the paid protesters or the paid officials. All right, Mackie, I know you're going to tighten this up for me. All right. Does I hate saying Democratic, does the rhetoric from the Democratic leaders, do you think that is the most responsible for all this?
I think so. And first off, it's nice to be on panel with two other alpha males. This
you.
is
It is refreshing.
refreshing. Yeah, I mean, you can criticize something without demonizing someone as the Gestapo or Nazis. I have to, constructively criticize people every day. Like, let's just say I know this guy, and his name's Craig Smutfeld. We'll call him
Smutfeld, Craig Smutfeld. Sounds like a scoundrel.
Yeah, he's kind of a rat bastard, and he's always
A real Munson.
yes. And I try to gently criticize him. It's like
A regular son of a bitch.
Well, I'll say, I'll compliment him first. I'm like, Craig, you have a great body, but could you put some pants on in these writers' meetings?
In church, for all places.
Then there's two other issues that are here. One is that Brandon Johnson saying, "Hey, we're not going to have ICE in these zones," and you can't do that because of my third favorite clause after Santa Claus and Bear Clause, the supremacy clause, which says when there's a conflict of laws, then federal law is supreme. So you can't make a rule saying that the federal government can't operate federal law in Chicago. The other thing I'm going to push back a little bit on is when police are ignoring an attack on someone or charging the wrong person, the innocent person who fought back, and they're worried about losing their job. Sometimes that happens in a job. Sometimes you have to make the right decision. And a lot of people were challenged to make the right decision during COVID, and they didn't follow along out of principle. And sometimes that happens. And in those situations, I don't want to just let them off by saying it's their job. It's like you have a responsibility as a human being too, and to just ignore people being shot at because you were told not to, or a car ran at them, or assaulted, or what's happened to some reporters in Portland, Oregon, is shameful, and I don't want to let them off that easy.
Yeah, because great point. See, I knew you would tighten this bad boy up, because I have a feeling if you put on your job resume, ran in to protect people and was fired from it, I'm pretty sure that's going to be something they're like, we need to hire this guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they're worried about their pensions because then they get insubordination charges leveled after them. I talked to one detective in Portland who works with Portland Police Department there, and he said it's membership versus leadership. Like, membership was disgusted at what happened with Nick Sorter. And leadership is going along with the mayor and the DA because they have been backed into a corner. They've already had a lot of their funding taken away. They've had departments completely shut down, and they're trying to have this big rethink of law enforcement that, you're seeing the end result. It's putting cops in jeopardy. And that's the point. Like, that's happening in Portland. It's clearly happening in Chicago. And as soon as Mamdani is elected, it's going to happen right here in New York City.
Thank God for Florida, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.